Greetings, Collective Coven. This is Trey, aka at Taboo Tarot Reader, and welcome to a collective Tarotscope for all signs, for all placements, in honor of Pluto entering Aquarius January 21st, 2024, according to the Gregorian calendar. This is a massive transit, considering that Pluto will be in Aquarius for the next 20 years. A big karmic cycle is opening up, and the last time Pluto was in the water bearer constellation was the 18th century. So really sit with that before this Tarotscope and ask yourself the question, what karma from the 18th century is currently playing out right here, right now on planet Earth, considering all of the current events on this planet, this critical tipping point. This is the Great Awakening. This is the shift. So if this is something that interests you, welcome. Dearly beloved, Collective Coven, we are gathered here today, January 21st, 2024, according to the Gregorian calendar, to propose a little query. Spirit, elevated ancestors, higher beings, we humbly inquire, how are the archetypal energies related to Pluto's transit from Capricorn into Aquarius? Manifesting, grounding down, and playing out during the time frame of the next 20 years, 2044. Spirit, please help us be a pure and accurate channel to receive. Okay, let's put actually her there. There we go. Thank you so much if you are still with me, still tuning in to this Pluto Tarotscope. Again, this is a massive transit for the Collective Coven, a massive initiation. Some deep shadow work is being invoked by Pluto entering Aquarius. So in this Tarotscope, first we will use the Modern Witch Tarot deck as a supporting tool to symbolize this astrological energy in a way that any soul tuning in, again, can use the tarot as a tool to understand the different correspondences between astrological transits and different tarot cards. And then we will transition into some intuitive tarot and do a blind spot reading regarding what is the collective blind spot regarding this shadow test, this time of purging with Pluto entering Aquarius. What does the collective not see coming? What is the blind spots? And then we will close out this Tarotscope with our final oracle message and hopefully get anyone tuning in who is, again, a student of the astrology to learn that astrology for divination or any divination tools are not just tools for personal self-study. They are also, they are also tools for collective liberation. for the authentic sacred science of astrology is truly the study of correspondence itself between astronomy, history, and current events. So let's dive deep. I know y'all came here for the deep dive. This Pluto transit can be symbolized by the death major arcana. For me, this is Pluto's card in the tarot. In Hellenistic Western astrology, Pluto rules Scorpio. So this is also Scorpio's card. Scorpio's realm is the 8th house, the realm of death and sex. So that duality, again, of the underworld of Pluto, the Plutonian realms, the shadow realms, right, is being invoked by this transit. You know, don't worry, folks. There is always a brighter day to come. Now, Pluto was transiting for a long time and retrograde in Capricorn. So this energy that is plateauing in terms of the Capricorn aspects can be symbolized by the Queen of Pentacles, strong Capricorn energy here, and the Devil, major arcana. This is Capricorn's card and the tarot ruling planet Saturn, which is in co-presence with Pluto, now in Aquarius. Excuse me, let me find that. And so this energy, you know, anytime the Devil and the Death card is together, for me personally, that is always indicative of a shadow test. So clearly, right now, given all the world events happening, this is a revelation of the collective shadow. And all the current events that are happening on this planet, it's a revelation about how our Western society, patriarchy, it will go down in history as the only civilization that didn't save itself because it wasn't cost effective. You know, there's a deep shadow test. There's some deep collective shadow work being invoked by the Pluto's, again, when it was retrograde in Capricorn, that energy was magnified surrounding themes of money, corruption, and how that is, capitalism is the rotten root of it all. Now, just sit with this energy, again, what Pluto is transitioning from before we get into Pluto's in Aquarius, what Pluto is transitioning into. Now, again, I just feel Saturn in co-presence in Aquarius is very important to keep in mind as well. Saturn, the crone, again, the ruling planet of Capricorn. To me, that energy mixing in and interplaying with Plutonian energy is just it's invoking the deepest levels of the collective shadow, the deepest blind spots, because Saturn for a long time represented the limits of human perception out into the cosmos. And Saturn represents in astrology, therefore, limitations in our perceptions. And so just keep that in mind, that this is a collective transit. These energies are necessarily not going to be manifesting on the personal level in overt, obvious ways, but on the collective level in a very subtle way. Now, Pluto transitioning into Aquarius can be symbolized now by the Star card. The Knight of Swords, strong Aquarius energy. And the Ace of Swords. And then again, we have that Saturn and Aquarius energy and co-presence with Pluto and Aquarius, represented by the Hermit, major arcana. So the shadow test, I'm sensing, it's about your relationship with money and hermitage. Because what keeps I'm sensing here, hermitage, going hermit mode in this sense, is not literal in this point of space and time. What it is, I'm sensing, it's about BDS, boycott, divest, and sanctioning this hermit energy. That's what this is about. Actively divesting from economic patriarchal systems of oppression. That what, like the Star card here is invoking optimism, it's invoking imagination, it's invoking hope, the power of hope, and to envision what the new timeline is going to be. Because we have to hold the vision in order to manifest a solution for this hot mess express that is planet Earth right now. And so going hermit mode is not necessarily about going into individual solitude and isolation to work with this energy. No, what I'm sensing in is it's about BDS. And why is this? Because the last time Pluto was in Aquarius was the 18th century, which was a time where this energy was running rampant, y'all. You know, like, that was a time of pseudo-European enlightenment in which the colonizers and their narcissistic narrative thought that they were the enlightened despots, the white saviors who were there to save the souls of the, quote, savages, unquote. The 18th century was a time of brutal colonization, of brutal warfare, really destructive industrialization and ecocide as well, cruelty. The 18th century was a time of deep human cruelty. And it was also a time of, deep intellectual thought, which is being invoked here again by the Knight of Swords and the Ace of Swords. The 18th century was the time when the abolition, anti-slavery movement began to pick up steam. And people started to see the evil and cruelty of slavery, which was the backbone for 300 years at that point in the 18th century of the entire global economy. So ask yourself the question, how has colonialism gone from being overt, like it was in the 18th century, to being covert in the 21st century, i.e. these very Plutonian themes of not so obvious, in the shadows, the black markets, the black economies of war, all of it, the black economies of drugs, the black economy of sex work, all of it is involved with, I'm sensing, karma stemming from 18th century colonization. What we are witnessing right now on planet Earth at the beginning of 2024, in my humble opinion, is the death of white supremacy. It is the death of Euro hegemony. It is the death it's an ego death, again, of the narcissistic superiority complex of the oppressors. It's an ego death And we are bearing witness to it in real time. All illusions have been shattered in real time. This genocide has been live streamed for the world to watch. And, you know, public opinion has clearly swayed. And the veil has been lifted. So again, ask yourself the question. Really meditate with this question. How is karma from the 18th century influencing current events on planet Earth? Because Pluto is going to be in, again, Aquarius until 2044 for 20 years. So this is a critical tipping point, not only for humanity in terms of peace between people and collective liberation, but resolving the climate crisis, which was seeded by the Industrial Revolution in the 18th century. Really, I'm sensing here so much karma. So let's clarify from the It's Your Karma Oracle deck. These, again, this is some deep shadow work. Like the Hermit together, when I hold the Hermit, the Devil, and the Death card here, these three major arcanas being invoked, this is deep, deep, deep shadow work. Deep collective shadow work about the true nature of capitalism, the true nature of all the patriarchal economic systems of oppression that mask neocolonialism. About the reality of where our tax dollars are going. And when you see that collective shadow, it makes you want to go hermit mode because it's so heavy, it's so dark. The reality of human cruelty, you know, it's the deepest levels of shadow work are being invoked here, and it's karmic. It's a time of karmic purging. It is a time of clear purging, in my humble opinion. So let's see what's going on with the karma here, stemming from the 18th century. And this is an interesting deck. It's a circular deck. And just get some more insights about the karma. Okay, Spirit. Any more information about the karma being invoked by this Pluto transit? Okay. Spain, the age of discovery, colonization. Like, thank you, Spirit. Oh my God. Ah, yup. 1400 to 1600. So this, again, this karma goes even deeper than the 18th century. You know? Because, again, all the rotten root of patriarchy, again, like, if you really want to get into it, the three pillars of patriarchy are arguably colonialism, capitalism, and narcissism, which are intimately interconnected into ableism, white supremacy, and heteronormativity. And when you get down into then the rotten root beneath the pillars, you know, you can go deeper into the karma. Okay, it's about the age of discovery, and this is about the inherent narcissism of white supremacy and manifest destiny and mindset. Again, Aquarius, air sign, mind, the psychology of the colonizers and how that psychology hasn't, again, gone away. They still think the same. It just went from being overt to covert. It went from overt narcissism to covert narcissism. And again, this is just confirmation here with the Age of Discovery, Spain, about Catholicism too, religion, and how weaponized religion is fundamental as a control mechanism still. And I'm just sensing here, obviously Spain were one of the most brutal colonizing nations. So again, I'm sensing it's invoking really sitting with the collective shadow of how cruel, again, humans can be when they are on the path of power over patriarchy, narcissism, the 7 deadly sins, like it all leads down the same path eventually, or it has the same destination. And what I'm just sensing here again is that when you go deeper into this karma, okay, from this time period, again, this was supposedly also the time of the Renaissance. Then this another period of pseudo enlightenment and pseudo Eurocentric, deeply racist thought, again, where these people had a superiority complex. They thought they were enlightened. They had a deep sense of entitlement. And this is all about understanding how narcissism perfectly maps on to white supremacy, ableism, and heteronormativity, right? That's what this is invoking on a deep level, I'm sensing. And everything is interconnected. So ask yourself the question, okay? Why did Nazi Germany, okay, study U.S. Jim Crow laws and U.S. eugenics science, pseudoscience, right? Why did the Nazis study eugenics from the United States and the UK? Okay, why? What is eugenics? Google it. Because, again, it went from being overt to covert. Ask yourself the question, why is the U.S. militarized police studying Israeli IDF tactics of oppression? Everything is interconnected. All systems of oppression intersect. And this rotten root, again, that we are seeing finally like ripped out from the earth, what we are witnessing right now on planet Earth, again, it is the death of white supremacy. And the karma from colonization is now being reflected to the descendants of the colonizers who still exist in those economic systems of oppression. And they don't want to look at how deep it goes, because that would require admitting accountability for their complicity in modern times and the actions of their ancestors. And, that's what I'm sensing. Like, there's a reason, too, I'm sensing, Israel was in Latin America, just like the Spanish were fucking around in Latin America. Just like America was fucking around in Latin America. It's all interconnected, okay? All of these colonial empires function the same. And so, again, I'm just so pleased, like, with that this message popped out. Again, the time of colonization was the age of discovery. Like, this is all about decolonizing the world. That's what is happening. The world is directly being confronted with the realities of neo-colonial settler apartheid regimes. And this is just deep karma, considering, again, how so many people don't know the true history. And that's what Pluto is invoking too. It's invoking here, I'm sensing, with, again, the Knight of Swords and the Star and the Ace of Swords, this new shifted recentering of history away from the colonizers' narrative to the people who were colonized, and actively listening to their version of history, because that's what really happened. And we are now seeing that with, for example, Namibia supporting South Africa's case in the ICJ and denouncing Germany and considering launching their own case of genocide against Germany for what Germany did in Namibia, which no one learns about. Okay, there's so much evidence that has been erased. And in the words of Dr. Carmen Bolter, rest in power, in the patriarchal retelling of history, patriarchy's sole intention is to erase any evidence other than itself. So again, if you don't still know what eugenics is, and you still believe that America is a colorblind nation, then you need to study some history, authentic, true history about eugenics and what that is. Because it stems really, really deep. Now, let's do some intuitive tarot. If you're still with me, thank you so much. This is what I'm seeing and sensing. But let's check in now with the blind spots. What are the collective blind spots regarding this Plutonian energy? Because again, remember, this energy has been playing out for 20 years. So really observing how it's manifesting and playing out is going to require some time and perspective. These are not necessarily fixed predictions. I read energy, and I use the tarot as a supporting tool to read energy. I don't personally make predictions. You always must keep in mind that with these astrological energies and with any divination tool, that there are always multiple possibilities and probabilities and timelines, and therefore nothing is fixed or static. Okay, the blind spot spread, if you're not familiar with it, is a 4-card spread, and we'll be pulling the first 2 cards from the Angel Tarot deck by Travis McHenry, and the second 2 cards from the Occult Tarot deck by Travis McHenry. Beautiful cards. So, Spirit, what is the first 2 cards in the blind spot spread representing the overall energy, the main topic in question? And the collective unconscious, the general energy surrounding the collective unconscious regarding this Pluto and Aquarius transit. There's so much to say about Pluto, but in a nutshell, if you're still with me, walk away message. Everything that is currently happening on planet Earth, in my humble opinion, is being triggered by this transit. And with Uranus moving into with Uranus, okay, as well, stationing direct to Taurus at the end of January. You know, buckle up, buttercups. Buckle up, buttercups. Lego, let God. Spirit, what is the first and second cards? The Empress. The overall energy. Okay. And, yep. The Hanged Man. Wow, so yeah, we got the Empress is the overall topic in question, the energy. And the message here says, fertility and fruitfulness assures peace between married couples. And the Hanged Man, desire for knowledge, protects from liars, evil spells, and bad spirits. So I'm just sensing it overall, the overall topic in question, the overall energy being the Empress, and the collective unconscious being the Hanged Man. This is again a massive initiation for planet Earth. This is a time when you really see who people are. This is a time during initiation purging where people reveal their true character, where masks come off, the veil is lifted. These are the times, again, where you may lose a lot of friends. A lot of people may feel you, like, hey, leave you hanging. A lot of people may, shock you at this time when the mask is taken off and you see who they really are. A self-centering narcissist. And they're not someone who centers collective liberation. Because again, with the Empress here, I'm sensing, the Hanged Man for me is Pisces energy. And the Empress obviously represents Venus. And so like Venus and Pisces in this context, that's a very beautiful energy. So just remember that whilst this is a time of purging, it's really necessary for the healing of Earth. You gotta purge the gunk, the rotten roots. You gotta purge the toxicity in order to carry on. In order to, stay elevated on the throne, backbone to the throne, like the Empress. You know what I'm saying? Thank you, Spirit. Hey, let's now check in with what are the third and fourth cards from the occult tarot deck, representing the collective shadow. And the fourth card is the blind spot itself. Let's keep it pushing for collective liberation. Oh wow, we got two cards. They literally flew out, so we're just gonna take them. They literally flew out. The Temperance, and the Judgment. We're gonna take them. We're gonna take them. So the Temperance is Sagittarius' card in the collective shadow, and Venus, the Empress, is actually currently in Sagittarius. Okay? Everything's interconnected, y'all. And for the Mayans, the ancient Mayans, Venus was actually a malefic masculine energy that they associated with warfare, ritualized warfare. Ritualized warfare. Oh, what's that? Oh, you mean little boys playing, quote, Indians and cowboys, unquote? Yeah, that's what ritualized warfare is. Same shit, different decade. Again, Venus energy for me is deeply associated with, in Mayan astrology, again, with these very instinctual aspects of humanity. Again, the spectrum I'm sensing of cruelty and altruism with the Temperance card, right? The light and the dark, okay? Here, obviously, the shadow and the light, and how that exists in every single human being, and it's a choice that you make. But before we focus on the blind spot, the Judgment, this message for the Temperance card in the occult tarot deck, for this this deva, this earth entity, is teaches geometry and liberal sciences, makes great noises and warm waters. Very, Jupiter is Sagittarius' ruling planet. And I'm sensing here again, Pluto and Aquarius is going to be a time to really purge science as well of this ugly, biased history of eugenics, biased patriarchal thought, purge science of all that is evil, in order to not be afraid of where the information takes you into the future, and to do away with censorship and recognize that there does need to be a paradigm shift in order to manifest collective liberation. We need to, like Einstein said, you can't use the same ways of thinking and perceiving to solve a problem. You can't use the old ways of thinking to solve a new problem. And that's what I'm sensing is being invoked by Temperance. I mean, of course, too, makes great noises. Right? This is in the position of the shadow. Again, so this is invoking so much. The fact that the Temperance card is in the collective shadow. Like, just, it's invoking so much. Again, like, there's a fine line between angelic and demonic. There's a fine line between angelic and demonic in all people. And I'm sensing again, like there's a fine line between in every single person their inner angel and inner devil. Um, uh, this energy in the collective shadow is telling me yeah, for me, the temperance archetype is related to the divine androgen archetype. Again, so for me personally, this is about, on one level, the intersection of ableism um, with heteronormativity and the intersections of um, all of that cruelty with the erasure of intersex people, um, the erasure of sacred androgyny by eugenics, and how intersex erasure was just another product of racist eugenics, okay, which targeted intersex and queer folk for elimination in the United States, just like people of color and indigenous people. And so I'm just sensing, excuse the interruption, that with this energy, temperance, because when you learn the true history, it's enraging. It's absolutely enraging when you learn the truth, the true nature of how cruel settler colonial empires can be. And if you're not pissed right now, if you're not angry, then you are living in a bubble, in a snow globe. And divine rage is a powerful tool to manifest collective liberation. Divine rage is, I'm sensing, an archetypal emotion being activated by the temperance card right now in the collective shadow. So it's invoking that shadow test of using anger as asana, of having a practice with anger and viewing anger as a sacred emotion, that sacred fire, in order to stand with justice and confront evil, and confront it directly without fear, knowing what it is and recognizing with radical acceptance and radical compassion that, unfortunately, in my humble opinion, what we're seeing right now, again, with the blind spot, is judgment time. It's judgment time for the world. It's judgment day for our civilization, patriarchal civilization. And that's what the blind spot is. People are going about their day-to-day, quote, normal, unquote, activities. And normal was a eugenics code word for white. Newsflash. People are just trying to, stay in their right to comfort and pretend like everything's normal when it's not, when it's judgment time. With the blind spot here. The blind spot representing what no one sees coming is, again, the oppressors think that they can control the narrative and that they've gaslit everyone to forget history and act like history is not informing the present circumstances, but they haven't. We know what they did. And they are being confronted with their actions finally in 2024. Everything in the South African case of genocide at the ICJ and the Hague, the International Court of Justice, is it all symbolic? Yes. Is it a colonial institution? Yes. Is it going to stop Israel's genocide in Palestine? No. But again, it's highly symbolic that South Africa, which was a colonial settler apartheid state founded on white supremacy. The fact that South Africa led that case, it is significant because it is telling the world that we understand our history. We are empowered by our history. We know what truly happened. You cannot gaslight us to forget what you did. And it's, again, everything's interconnected. It is not a coincidence that once apartheid South Africa fell, a lot of the white flight went where? Into Israel and the United States. A lot of white South Africans went to Israel and converted Judaism, and they went to the United States. Because those were viewed as what? As safe settler colonial apartheid states that they could go to. The collective shadow of this karma of colonialism, capitalism, and narcissism, that is what is being put on trial. Actually, symbolically, with this Pluto transit in Aquarius. Really mentally think about everything that's not being said and reading between the lines, because only by reading between the lines is how you start to, in my humble opinion, perceive what people actually mean when they speak. What people are actually meaning. Because a lot of people don't mean what they say. A lot of people don't understand what they are even saying, and the etymology and the history and the karma and the very words, the very language we use. Again, normal was a eugenics code word for white. Family values was a eugenics code term for heteronormativity that they use to instill fear and eradicate Black people, indigenous people, queer people, trans people, and intersex people in the United States. And this has been going on for a long time. There is nothing new about the white supremacy and the heteronormativity and the ableism as well that we are seeing in 21st century American Christian nationalism, which is just what? White supremacy and heteronormativity and Bible drag. Same shit, different decade. That is what this Pluto transit I'm sensing with the Judgment card and the blind spot is invoking, is that so many people are blind to the karma they're participating in. So many people are blind to the karma of their own complicity and complacency in patriarchal systems of oppression. So many people are blind to white supremacy. So many people are blind to heteronormativity. So many people are blind to ableism. It is a true blind spot for them. And if you don't know your history, you are just a tiny little leaf that is blind to the fact that it is a part of a much bigger tree with much deeper roots. But let's read the message of the Judgment Deva Earth entity in the Occult Tarot deck associated with this major arcana. Distributes promotions and high offices. Causes one to be liked. Likability. The likable narcissist. This blind spot is about how dominant culture values niceness and being, likable. And dominant culture does not value you when you are in divine rage. When you are being angry. Dominant culture will tell you, just, shut up and be nice. Men, when they harass you in public, are like, what's the big deal? I'm just trying to be nice to you. Or, that is what is being judged right now. Like, patriarchy is having an ego death with Pluto and Aquarius. That is what is going on right now, in my humble opinion. And again, distributes promotions and high offices. This is about hierarchy as well, and how narcissism needs hierarchy in order to create cheap constructs and false beliefs of superiority. This is all about deconstructing superiority. And again, how so many people are blind to privilege. You want to talk about superiority complexes. Very Plutonian is speciesism. Some people in our society are just blind to the fact as well that patriarchy is speciesist. And they're not even aware about the animal holocaust and factory farm industry. People aren't even aware of how sexism and racism intersects with speciesism. If you really want to get deep, patriarchy has always, for apparently, again, centuries, this goes so deep in the bloodline, had a deep superiority complex. And Pluto and Aquarius is inviting us as a collective coven to understand the psychology of narcissism, to mentally understand what is a trauma bond so we can break this trauma bond once and for all with patriarchy. And we can finally step out of Stockholm Syndrome with the patriarchy. And we can finally stand in our divine rage and stand in our collective power in order to manifest the change that is so needed right now. To finally destroy this rotten root on this planet and stop the ecocide and stop the genocides. And again, this is about recognizing that people romanticize collective liberation, but it is shadow work. It is deep work, collective liberation. And it requires, with the Temperance card and the collective shadow, it requires radical empathy, radical compassion, radical acceptance of what it is in order to transmute it. Because for me, the Temperance card is all about transmutation on a deeper level. It's all about transmuting the shadow into the light. And you cannot be a light supremacist in order to do that, because light supremacists, people who have weaponized love and light, right? They're afraid of the shadow and they don't want to look at it. But you have to look at it in order to transmute it. And that is what is happening right now with everything going on in the Palestine, the Congo, the Sudan, Yemen, Papua, the Uyghur Muslims in China, indigenous people everywhere, truly. That is what is going on. And when you realize that there is no false sense of security that's going to coddle you into liberation. No, what this is doing is divesting from being nice and the fear of being judged by other people, divesting from whiteness, divesting from capitalism, divesting from all those hierarchical systems, sanctioning what no longer serves us, in our collective response to center the climate crisis, and we also need to boycott, I'm sensing here, again, the demonization of anger. Boycott that shit. Because again, causes one to be liked. Like in this context, again, I'm just sensing a deep walkaway message for Pluto and Aquarius is that we really need to sit with, moving into 2024, all the ways capitalism has programmed your subconscious. All the ways capitalism has programmed you to be a narcissist, to want to deeply be liked by other people, to be a high achiever, someone with upward mobility. Just really sit with all the ways capitalism has programmed your subconscious mind in order to do that deep shadow work and rip that rotten root once and for all out of your self. Just rip it out. Because that rotten root, I'm sensing that is being put on trial for the world to see right now, is how money, the lust for money, the lust for power over, what that can do to a human soul. And indigenous cultures call this phenomenon that we are witnessing soul loss. That is what is on judgment. Boycott, divest, sanction. I'm going to repeat it. Boycott, divest, sanction. Boycott, divest, sanction. Boycott, divest, sanction. People pleasing no longer serves you, folks. It no longer serves you for the next 20 years. People pleasing is not going to help you survive the next 20 years. Because it's go time. Buckle up, buttercups. It is go time. We are quickly approaching World War III. And we must study the history. We must study the astrology in order to see the blind spots of intersectionality, interconnectivity, because everything is connected. Woo, so let's pull our final oracle message now, if you're still with me, from the Spirit of the Animal Oracle deck. I'm so pleased with how this reading has gone. Spirit, what is the final oracle message that the collective coven has a need to know? For this Pluto and Aquarius transit. And for all my deep divers, obviously this energy's been playing over 20 years. I really dug deep. I got very esoteric, but to me that is the radicalization effect that Pluto and Aquarius is having. This energy feels very radicalizing to me. It's shifting our perceptions. So let's do that by tuning into what totem guide, what spirit animal will guide us during the next 20 years, during this critical tipping point, this time of rude awakening. Spirit, what totem guide will be with us during this purging? There she goes. The butterfly. Rebirth. Ah! I'm laughing because, a lot of pop astrologers on social media, when you ask them, what does Pluto mean? They always say rebirth, But it definitely is. You can reinvent yourself, butterfly. Open to the rewards of change. You have brilliance to share with the world. Love every part of your journey. Thank you for that final message, Spirit. I have nothing else to add. And thank you if you tuned in, Collective Coven, to this Pluto and Aquarius Tarotscope. I hope you got some valuable information for your journey to help you on your path to liberation. And if this reading resonates with you, thank you so much for tuning in. Every single comment, like, share, subscribe, and testimonial for @Taboo Tarot Reader is truly appreciated from the bottom of my Anahata Heart Chakra to yours. If you really vibe with this content, head over to my Instagram page for some digital tarot scopes and lots of other content. In addition to the online bookstore on Taboo Tarot Reader's website for Astrology for Divination, a 444-page ebook that can teach any student of the astrology how to use the astrology for divination, in addition to, like I said, a personal tool for self-study of your birth chart and interpreting all of your major birth chart placements, in addition to deeper insights of how to use the astrology and other divination tools like the runes, I Ching, the tarot cards, as tools to manifest collective liberation. And so if that's something that interests you, check out Astrology for Divination. Check out my other books as well, Queer Astrology Theory, Our Non-Binary Universe, and exploration into all of the astrological theories, both old and new, about queerness for all my queer folk out there, in addition to the sequel, Queer Shadow Work, a deep dive into queer theory. So if that is something you are interested in as well, head over to the bookstore. Each ebook is a very reasonable $3 investment, and you get the PDF files to keep forever as your own. And I'm also happy to announce that I am deep writing a new book called Plant-Based Planet, an intersectional ecofeminist book. A new book all about ecofeminism, which is definitely a deep dive. And I'm very, very excited to bring ecofeminism into the conversation. Because it is high time that we center Mother Earth and we start to take seriously, nature. So stay tuned for that book if you're interested to learn about what is ecofeminism and why it is so important. My name is Trey, aka @Taboo Tarot Reader, and thank you so much for tuning in. Toodaloo.